Welcome to the deep dive. So if you think psychoanalysis, you probably think Freud, right? The couch, the whole deal.
That's the common image.
Yeah, but you'd be missing, well, almost a century of really intense intellectual battles and some pretty radical new ideas.
Absolutely. We're going way beyond the cliches today.
We want to map out this whole landscape of brilliant minds who often, completely disagreed with each other.
Exactly. Our mission here is to dive into some pretty challenging source material. We're leaning on a great resource, the Seven Greats of Psychoanalysis, to help us distill the core ideas.
Okay.
From seven key figures, Freud, of course, then Ferenczi, Groddeck, Klein, Winnicott, Dolto, and Lacan. We want to make their complex concepts a bit more accessible.
Right. So for you listening, we want to give you that shortcut. How did these thinkers totally redefine, the structure of the mind, childhood development, even how therapy is done?
It's like charting a course. Where did the theories start and where did it just spin off into completely new territory?
Yeah, some revolutionary directions.
Precisely. We'll start with Freud, lay down that foundation, his model of how the mind works, or the psychic apparatus, as he called it.
Okay.
And then we'll track the deviations, the big disagreements that followed. You'll see how even a small shift in perspective could lead to, well, massive changes in the whole theory.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this. We absolutely have to start with Freud's basic scheme, right? His map of psychic life.
Right. At its core, the Freudian system runs on the displeasure-pleasure principle. The whole point, fundamentally, is to reduce psychic tension.
And feel better, basically.
Kind of, yeah. But here's the catch, and it's crucial. Freud saw this as a tendency, not something you can actually achieve fully.
Wait, not achievable?
He argued that absolute pleasure, like zero tension in the mind, it's impossible for us.
Okay, hang on. If the whole system is designed to lower tension, why can't it ever actually get there? What keeps it buzzing?
Well, the source material points to a couple of built-in reasons, and then there's a third sort of operational one. First, the drive itself. Its source is internal, it's bodily, and it just doesn't run out. It keeps feeding tension into the system constantly.
Like a leaky faucet you can't turn off.
Sort of, yeah. Second, the mind can't just act directly on the tension. It can't take concrete action. It can only use indirect stuff, like a thought or a word.
Ah. So the response isn't powerful enough.
Exactly. It only gives a partial discharge. The tension never fully goes away.
Okay, partial discharge. And this is where Freud's structural thinking gets really interesting, because the system itself kind of fights against this discharge too, doesn't it?
Precisely. The sources highlight this third mechanism, repression, or basturma in some contexts.
And repression isn't just forgetting something.
No, it's active. It's like building a dam. The preconscious and conscious parts of the mind actively create an energy barrier. Freud called it a counter-investment.
A counter-investment.
Yeah, pushing back against the drive's energy trying to get through. So the mind is actually designed through this resistance to prevent total tension release.
Wow. It's less like a simple machine and more like, a complex hydraulic system designed to maintain pressure.
That's a good way to put it. And it's telling that in his very last work, A Synopsis of Psychoanalysis, he came back to these basics.
Sort of locking down the core principles.
Almost confirming that his whole structure depended on this constant tension and the resistance against it. It was his attempt to boil it all down.
Okay, so that's the engine. Now, let's look at the first big challenges to that engine. Freud's contemporaries. Let's start with Sándor Ferenczi. Their relationship was famously complicated.
Oh, incredibly complex. It really shaped the early days of psychoanalysis.
Mentor and rival.
Definitely elements of both. The sources even point out this symbolic tension in their names. Ferenczi's initials, FS, reverse Freud's SF, and the German word for friend, Freund, has Freud's name right in it. So Ferenczi is the friend, but also potentially the one who flips the script.
And he certainly did flip the script in the clinic, didn't he? What was the big clinical break? Why did it upset Freud so much?
It was a huge shift. Ferenczi started out following Freud's active technique, quite rigid. But then he moved to something totally different. Relaxation and granting.
Relaxation and granting. What did that mean in practice?
He came to believe that for patients with severe early trauma, just interpreting wasn't cutting it. They needed something more, like a corrective emotional experience.
Which involved getting closer physically.
Yeah. Yes, that was the radical part. Softening the boundaries, allowing affectionate gestures, maybe a friendly pat, a comforting touch on the head.
Okay.
Or even, and this really bothered Freud, letting patients cuddle him or kiss him. Ferenczi argued that early shocks needed soothing words reinforced by a friendly hand support.
Wow. That completely shreds Freud's idea of the neutral, detached analyst.
Absolutely. Freud insisted on neutrality, avoiding contact to preserve the transference. Ferenczi's approach, it blew that wide open. It was a fundamental split over what a clinical boundary even was.
A massive departure. Okay, let's pivot to another contemporary, Georg Groddeck. His deviation was maybe even deeper, right? He had this concept of the it, the sad.
Yes, and what's fascinating is Groddeck's sat came before Freud's later concept of the id, and it's radically different.
How so?
For Groddeck, the sat wasn't really psychic in Freud's sense. It was a vital force, almost biological, cosmic. He called it the all-powerful, bisexual master builder of the organism. Think Goethe's idea of God nature.
So not an unconscious cauldron of drives, but something else entirely.
Exactly. An ultimate, maybe even conscious, vital power that basically runs the whole show, body and mind.
So he's pulling the focus away from pure psychology towards something more vitalistic.
Totally. And this led him to a clinical view that is, frankly, still shocking today, his take on illness.
Okay.
He argued that all illness is a creation.
A creation, you mean the sa creates the illness on purpose?
Yes. Groddeck believed that illness, whether it's a neurosis or something physical, was actively created by the sa as a kind of refuge, a way to escape the pressures of the world.
A refuge, like being sick gives you a break.
Essentially. He even talked about good illnesses, ones that provided necessary protection. So for Groddeck, analysis wasn't just about getting rid of the neurosis.
What was it about then?
It was about understanding the creative function of the sickness itself. Why did the sarong create this illness right now? It shifts the whole question from what's wrong to what is this achieving?
That is a huge leap. From Freud's tension model to creative, vital illness. Okay, let's shift gears again. Let's focus on childhood now, and two figures who completely changed the game. Melanie Klein and D.W. Winnicott.
Right. Klein first. Her biggest revolution was challenging Freud's timeline, specifically the superego.
Freud put that later, right?
Yeah.
After the Oedipus complex, age 4 or 5.
Exactly. Klein said, no, it's much earlier, like in the first year of life. And this early version, the archaic superego, wasn't just a moral guide. It was harsh, cruel, incredibly powerful.
Okay, cruel. Powerful. Where did all that intensity come from in an infant?
Klein argued it came from the infant's own impulses. Their aggressive, sadistic, even cannibalistic urges related to feeding and pooping, these get turned inward, incorporated.
Wow, so the baby's own aggression forms this internal monster.
In a way, yes. And this violent internal world shapes the infant's first way of organizing reality through what Klein called psychic positions.
Okay, the positions. These are super important in Kleinian thought, right? Let's define them.
Absolutely central. The first is the schizo-paranoid phase. The baby feels overwhelming anxiety, like they could be annihilated. Their main defense? Splitting.
Splitting the world.
Splitting the object. Primarily, the mother's breast. It gets divided into a perfectly wonderful good breast that feeds and satisfies, and a terrifyingly bad breast that frustrates or feels persecutory. It's black and white, all or nothing. A survival tactic.
Okay, that makes a certain kind of primitive sense. But what happens when the baby starts to realize the good breast and the bad breast are the same breast?
Yeah.
Attached to the same person?
That realization is the trigger for the next position, the depressive position. When the infant grasps that the good mother and the bad mother are actually one and the same whole person.
They feel bad about having had all those aggressive feelings towards the bad part.
Exactly. They experience intense guilt, sadness, depression over the attacks they fantasize carrying out against the mother they now realize they love and depend on entirely.
And that leads to
the need for reparation, a powerful drive to make amends, to repair the damage they imagine they inflicted on this whole loved object. It's the foundation for concern, for others, for creativity.
That is such an intense, complex inner world for a baby. It's miles away from a simple pleasure-seeking organism.
Absolutely.
So how does this contrast with D.W. Winnicott? He also focused on infancy. But his emphasis was different, wasn't it? More on the environment.
Very much so. Winnicott really shifted the spotlight from the baby's internal world, a la Klein, to the crucial relationship between the infant and the mother, or primary caregiver.
And this is where his famous idea comes in.
The good enough mother. And the name is key. Not the perfect mother, nobody's perfect, but one who adapts sufficiently well to the baby's needs, especially early on.
Why is that initial adaptation so important?
Because it creates a necessary illusion for the baby, an illusion of omnipotence. Like the world and the mother perfectly anticipate and meet every need. It provides a secure base.
But that illusion can't last forever.
No, and it shouldn't. Winnicott stressed that the mother's gradual, manageable failures to meet every single need instantly are just as important.
The failures.
Yes. This gradual disillusionment, if it's not too abrupt or overwhelming, is what allows the infant to start differentiating between me and not me, to perceive an external reality that operates independently of their wishes. It's essential for developing independence.
Okay, so the good enough mother provides initial magic, then survivable disappointment.
Exactly. And this process happens in a special kind of space, which leads to Winnicott's other huge concept.
The teddy bear. The security blanket.
Right, the transitional object and transitional phenomena. These aren't just random attachments.
What are they then?
They exist in a crucial intermediate area of experience. It's not purely internal fantasy, but it's not fully part of shared external reality either. It's in between.
Like a bridge.
A bridge, a buffer zone. It helps the child handle the anxiety of separation from the mother. The blanket, the thumb sucking, the repetitive sounds kids make, they provide comfort and continuity in that space between self and other. Winnicott saw this space as the origin of play, creativity, and culture.
That's fascinating. So the focus shifts from the internal it, or drives, to this relational space, this external support. That sets us up perfectly for the French school, doesn't it? Starting with Françoise Dolto. Language and the body.
Yes, Dolto put immense importance on communication right from the very beginning. Her key concept is the unconscious body image inconscient décor.
And that's not just how our body is physically mapped out.
No, definitely not the biological schema. It's subjective, it's relational. She even called it the relational saw. It's built around zones of excitement and feeling, and it's shaped fundamentally by sensations, emotions, and crucially,
Language.
yes, the language spoken to the child. Even before they understand the words conceptually, the tone, the rhythm, the emotional content, it all gets woven into this body image. It's like an emotional, linguistic map of our relational history laid onto the body.
So if language spoken to the child is so formative, then what parents say or don't say must be incredibly important.
That's Dolto's core clinical message. She believes humans seek communication from the moment of conception. Therefore, speaking the truth to the child is vital.
Even difficult truths about death, separation, family secrets.
Especially those. She argued that speaking the truth, using clear language, places the child within the symbolic order, within the laws of human language. It prevents them from becoming just a silent object, burdened by unspoken anxieties or parental fantasies. It gives them their place as a subject.
Okay. This intense focus on language, truth, and how the other shapes us. That leads us straight into Jacques Lacan, doesn't it? He took Freud and basically reread him through linguistics and philosophy.
Radically so. For Lacan, the subject is constituted by language, by the symbolic order. Perhaps his most famous concept illustrating this is the mirror stage.
Right, the mirror stage. Help us unpack that. It sounds straightforward, baby sees self in mirror, but it's loaded, isn't it?
Oh, incredibly loaded. It happens roughly between 6 and 18 months. The infant, who still feels physically fragmented and uncoordinated.
Yeah, they can't walk or control things well yet.
Exactly. But they see an image, maybe the reflection, maybe another child that looks whole, unified, complete, and they identify with it jubilantly. Ah, that's me.
That sounds like a positive step, finding a sense of self.
It is, in a way. But Lacan's crucial insight is that this identification is also fundamentally alienating.
Alienating.
Because the unified self they identify with is out there, in the image. It's external. The very foundation of their I is based on something outside themselves and other. The self is captured by the image.
Wow. So our sense of wholeness is built on an illusion, an external picture.
That's the unsettling core of it. And this leads Lacan to some pretty radical claims about being human. He suggested, for instance, that the human subject is inherently structurally mad.
Mad, as in psychotic.
Not necessarily clinically psychotic, but that our fundamental structure is based on a misrecognition, on this alienation. He thought paranoia, for example, wasn't just a specific illness, but actually revealed this underlying truth. The subject doesn't fundamentally know what constitutes their own being because it's tied up with the other.
Okay. And that connects directly to his famous, maybe most difficult maxim.
The unconscious is the discourse of the other.
What does that actually mean, in simple terms if possible?
It means your unconscious isn't just your private basement of secrets and repressed desires. It's structured like a language, and its content, its messages, the position you unknowingly occupy. It all comes from outside.
From parents, society, history, language itself.
Exactly. It's a symbolic debt, a script written by the other that you inherit and live out, often without realizing it. It stresses the absolute power of the symbolic realm of language in shaping who we are, far beyond just biology.
Wow. Okay, this has been quite a journey, a huge, really necessary overview. We've covered so much ground.
We really have.
From Freud's starting point, that tension reduction machine, through Groddeck's very different vital it and Ferenczi's rebellion in the clinic. Then Klein completely changing our view of infancy with that intense inner world of splitting and reparation. Winnicott bringing in the crucial role of the good enough environment in that transitional space.
Yeah, the teddy bears and blankets.
And finally, Dolto and Lacan driving home the absolute centrality of language, the body image, alienation, and how we're shaped by the symbolic other.
It really maps the evolution, doesn't it? From a kind of closed internal system in early Freud to progressively more focus on relationship, environment, and language.
It's a field built on argument, on constant revision, often pushing back hard against the founder himself.
It really is, and it makes you think about that comment Freud made in his final synopsis. He said his whole towering theory was built on a fragile base of clay.
Like a huge statue that any fool could just knock over. What an admission.
A stunning thing for the founder to say, right? Acknowledging the potential fragility of his own foundational ideas.
It really is.
And that brings us to a final thought, maybe for you listening. Given that so many of these brilliant minds we discussed fundamentally challenged the father of psychoanalysis, they questioned his methods, his timelines, his core concepts. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it?
A reminder of that.
Well, it prompts you to look at the structures in your own life, the foundational knowledge you rely on, the core beliefs you hold, maybe even the key relationships that define you. How much of that is truly built on solid rock? And how much might rely on, well, a base of clay?
A structure you've inherited.
Exactly. An inherited structure. Is it one you're actively examining? One you're ready to question, to revise, maybe even to strengthen continuously? It's something we're thinking about.